Hey folks! I decided to clock us on a bit early. Give people a chance to get on. See if I've got my camera right. Ooh, no, we're a bit wobbly. Hey! See if we can make this actually stay the right way up. I'll be with you in a moment, folks. How are we all doing this fine day? Can I have some non-alcoholic drinks today? I'm going wonky again. Here we go. Started a little bit earlier today just to see if I can get my camera right, say hello to people, give people a chance. See, you say perfect, but it's wonky for me, and then I see myself at an angle and I think I'm a lot more drunk than I am, which is not good, especially when we're on non-alcoholic cocktails. Hi to those joining. See here, we've got an array today. I've gone fancy today as well. I've got a little freezer bag finally for the ice so it doesn't just melt down my table as I carry on. Hi to everyone joining. Hey there, Jules. Hey to everyone who's watching. We're going to do some awesome non-alcoholic and low alcohol cocktails today. Get kicking off in about a minute's time. It's going to be fun. I've got some fun stuff from my friends here at Everleaf who gifted me this bottle, which is awesome. So we're going to play around with some of this Everleaf non-alcoholic aperitif, which is cool. And guys, it's hashtag cocktail day, maybe International Cocktail Day. I lose track. It's the day of something every day. I don't know. But apparently it's International Cocktail Day, and I've decided to make non-alcoholic drinks on International Cocktail Day, which is classic me. But we're here today, and we're going to be doing that. And it is just coming up to 5, so we're saying hello to everyone. I started a bit early today because I can't tell the time. We've got arrayed in front of us all the awesome ingredients we're going to need for making our non-alcoholic and low alcohol things. And now that's partly because last week we had a martini special, and you all let me drink 4 martinis in front of you on live Instagram, and I could barely walk or talk or do anything for several days, if I'm frank. So I kind of needed this low alcohol version today just to get me through, just to give me a little bit of a boost to get me through. So before I start, folks, started every session like this. I'm going to say it again. I'm about to do some food preparation. I've washed my hands for 20 seconds, washed them thoroughly. Stop the spread of COVID-19. If you're doing any form of food preparation, even if that food preparation is for yourself, make sure you wash your hands, you stay safe, and you protect the NHS. So without further ado, let's get cracking, because I've actually got 4, maybe 5 drinks to try and do with you today, and there's no way I'm going to be able to stick to the time limit if I do that. So I'm going to get cracking straight away. I've got my little black book here, which is going to help me out, but I wanted to start with a reading. So today we chose to do non-alcoholic cocktails. Now, you'll notice at no point, not online, not in the blog, not when I've been introing it to you, have used the word mocktails. Folks, I hate the word mocktails. There's nothing mock about these drinks. They're not fake. They're beautiful, wonderful drinks all on their own. It's like, ooh, it's like fake meat, tofurkey. No. These things are awesome on their own. So instead I've turned to my favourite cocktail book in all the world, which is reversed for you. It's called Jigger Beaker Glass, done by Charles H. Baker Jr. in the 1890s. This is, without doubt, my favourite cocktail book. It's completely insane. It starts with a list of 3 rules for every drinker, and there are 4 rules in this man's list of 3 rules, because he was clearly drunk when he wrote it. But he does, in this book, have something to say about non-alcoholic drinks, which I have to read to you. He says, "And even 1 dozen Temperance delights, of which is after nearly 2 weeks' supply. Not all intelligent folk approve or militarily disapprove of spirituous beverage. There simply happen to be quite a few rational souls who don't care for anything containing alcohol. Being of a half Quaker stock myself, we have noted such a phenomenon right in our own family. Also, you need beverages for the very young. This being the case and refreshments are indicated, what to serve should we behind tea, coffee or water? Our own rough and unpredictable mind, there is nothing under heaven more discouraging than weak lemonade past the age of 10. There, sharply aware of this problem for our own case, I have gone to considerable effort to supply you with these Temperance delights. We now feel that we can face a PTA meeting unafraid. So that was our guide for today. We wanted to produce not mocktails. Forget mocktails, we're not doing mocktails. We're doing temperance delights. And they are going to be good enough that you're going to be able to get through a PTA meeting. You're going to be able to leave your flask at home and deal with talking about children. That's how good these are going to be. So, we're going to get started. I'm going to end with one of Mr. Baker's very own Temperance Delights, which has egg and tea in it, but bear with me, it's actually going to be good. But we're going to start with one I'm calling Everything's Peachy. But we're also going to show you how to twist it and not use peach and use something different as well. So I'm going to take 2 of these glasses. Now this is roughly, very roughly, I forgot my tonic water, bear with me a second folks. I'm back, tonic water. This is very, very roughly based on a Shirley Temple. So a Shirley Temple is that classic non-alcoholic drink. You use grenadine, wonderful stuff, this kind of fruity mix. You mix it with a fizzy drink, sometimes soda water, sometimes it's lemonade, sometimes it's tonic water. And it's very sweet, it's a bit cloying, I'm not a big fan of it myself. You often put loads of cherries in it. But it's a non-alcoholic drink, so you can feel like you're having something like a cocktail. So I thought, okay, how do we make the Shirley Temple a little bit more exciting? And now, I'm going to be honest with you, the first drink I'm doing is a low alcohol drink. So we are going to put some alcohol in it. I'm going to put some peach liqueur. Now you can find non-alcoholic peach syrup and you can use that if you'd like to. But peach liqueur, this is only 15% and we're going to use 12 millilitres of it. So like around a quarter of a unit. This is like a shandy level of alcohol. So this is kind of the shandy version of a cocktail. And then I'm going to do a completely non-alcoholic version, same twist on a Shirley Temple using this amazing Everleaf that we were gifted. So, I'm going to start off in my glass, drop my pencil in some water, great way to start. And folks, you'll see I don't have my egg cups today because Everleaf, because they were very kind, also sent me a jigger, look at that. So I've got some professional bar tools for once. I'm still using jam jars though. So we're going to take, not of that, we're going to take our peach liqueur, which is here, and we're going to put just under half a measure in there, so about 12 millilitres. So really quite small amount of this 15%. So that's going in one. And then I'm actually going to put a 25 ml measure of the Everleaf, so a bit stronger on the Everleaf, partly because it's not alcohol, into my other glass. And it's got markings on it. I'm not just winging it today. This is amazing. So in there, so I've got my Everleaf in one, and I've got my peach liqueur in the other. 2 different twists on a kind of Shirley Temple style drink. So pop them away. Then comes the grenadine. Now, if you've never had grenadine, it's kind of a weird flavour. It's like a bit ribenery, but a bit more floral. And we're going to be putting 25 mils, so a full measure of grenadine in here. So that's 50-50 with the Everleaf, and twice as much, so 2 to 1 with the peach liqueur. So if you wanted to make a stronger cocktail with the peach liqueur, you can just double stuff up. But I like this low alcohol version. It's not in any way going to get you drunk. Then we are going to take 2 slices of lemon. I've got my fancy, lovely Damascus steel knife again. It's going to take 2 slices of lemon. We're not looking for huge slices. This is quite a scratty lemon. Just kind of a nice slice. Just give it a little squeeze and then drop it into your drink. So that's my Everleaf one. You can use lemon for both. And, you know, I think this is just a bit more grown up than a cherry. But if you want to put a cherry in it, give it a little swill. Give it a little bit of love. Oh, they also gave me a spoon. Maybe I'll use my spoon. Swirly, swirly spoon. There you go. It's very long. I might need some ice cream with it. And then I'm going to take some ice, which I've actually got in a freezer bag for once. 2-3 cups ice cubes in this. And then, unlike a kind of traditional Shirley Temple, which is either soda water or lemonade, we're actually going to use... Hi there, just popped in quick before you start your patient care. Thank you very much. I'm going to use tonic water. Now, you can use up to 150 mils. I'm going to put a little bit less in this. I'm probably going to half one of these cans. And pop that in. Now, here's the thing. We've started making our Temperance Delights. And I kind of have a rule when I'm making non-alcoholic drinks. The danger with non-alcoholic drinks is that they can be really, really sweet. They can be cloying. They can sit in your mouth, and it's just not pleasant. And when we're making adult drinks, what we actually want is a bit of dryness. We want a bit of complexity. We're going to give these a little stir. I'm swapping the spoon because it doesn't really matter very much. So tonic water, rather than a fizzy water or rather than lemonade, adds that dryness and that complexity that you expect from a cocktail. So even though you're using syrups and things, and that's partly because alcohol is very acidic, it's very dry. And so when you don't have the alcohol, it can often leave things overly sweet. That's one of the things I really like about Everleaf, which is it's a dry aperitif. So it's actually really good. It has this complexity like a gin or a vodka. So I'm going to try the Everleaf one first. Oh, that's really nice. So the Everleaf has this citrusy notes, it has vanilla notes, and really nice that it has this bitterness that carries on in the back palate. So it really does feel like you're drinking something really complex, something like a cocktail. You're not even thinking about the alcohol. And then this is the slightly alcoholic one, remember, this is the peach liqueur version. So we haven't got quite as much of that bitterness, but we've got that sweet peachiness coming through. So this one's the low alcohol one, and this is the zero alcohol one. But really what you want to take away from this is, if you can find that base to go with the grenadine, and then you use tonic water, it gives you that adult version of a Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple all grown up rather than Shirley Temple as a child. So I'm going to have another couple of sips. And then pop these down here. Because 4 drinks tonight, folks. So I've got to keep to time. Not got to be getting behind like I usually am. I'm actually going to keep the Everleaf one up here to sip at because it's really delicious. Okay, so that was our first drink. I'm going to say hello to some people now. People could wear my bow tie with my t-shirt. I'm going to talk about my t-shirt actually. So I'll take this down. Hello. I don't know if she's watching. She might be watching. I want to say happy birthday to my amazing friend Joanna. She's over in Canada. She's self-isolating in the Canadian way, whatever they're doing. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday. She bought me this shirt. It's one of my favourite t-shirts. So if you're watching, Joanna, hi. Happy birthday. So we just made our Shirley Temple style drink. That's the grenadine and something fizzy. We used tonic water. We also added some complexity either with Everleaf or with some peach liqueur. We added a little slice of lemon rather than the cherries. Just brought back that sweetness, just dialed it way back and brought us back to something that's a little bit more adult, a little bit more what we want. Now, I have been stupid again, folks, and forgotten my fizzy water. So doodle something, think of some questions for me, time me, see how quickly I can run into my back room and grab some fizzy water. I may have got a paper cut, but it was worth it. Right, I'm back. Got my fizzy water. So we're going to go for our second drink today. Second drink today, really light, easy, refreshing drink. Super simple, nothing complex about this except for making the syrup. So you'll see we're using lots of syrups today. I think these deep syrups really can help infuse and give that depth of flavour to these sorts of drinks. You want to be giving the same level of care and attention to a Temperance Delight, to a non-alcoholic drink, as you would to any other cocktail. So if you would infuse gin with something, if you go and get these really complex flavours and mix them all up to make a cocktail, you absolutely should do the same when you're making a non-alcoholic drink. Put the same amount of effort into it. Excited for the non-alcoholic cocktail with you. Yeah, so this is what I've got here. It's not gin. It's not gin. It's berry pink. It's not even a rhubarb gin. This is my homemade Rhubarb Cordial. Now, I will put on my own, so at Tom Gilliford, I'll put on my own Instagram stories the method for making this. I did put it up earlier in the week when I was making this bottle, but if you haven't seen it, pop over to my channel and I'll put it there. This is a cold press method. So I'm not stewing the rhubarb, I'm not cooking this cordial down. All I'm doing is mixing 400 grams of sliced rhubarb, really finely sliced, with 200 grams of white caster sugar, leaving it for an hour, and then straining off the liquid. So this is just the juice from a macerated 400 grams of rhubarb, which gives you this really beautiful floral, completely uncooked, very fresh, very acidic rhubarb flavour, which is perfect for a drink. It's just that bit more complex. So that's what we're going to start with. I'm just going to wash out this very fancy jigger. Thank you very much, Everleaf. Never had a jigger so fancy. And I'll give it a proper good little scrub because it's had grenadine in it. And the thing about grenadine, delicious as it is, it's very sticky. So it gets all over everything. So pop that in there. And then unceremoniously wipe it on my pinny. There we go. So I'm going to put a full 50 millilitres in this. So I'm going to do two 25ml measures. 1, 2. We want a nice sweet rhubarb flavour. And this really is, it's so floral, it's so complex because you haven't cooked it. And it's that cooking it that can make it a little bit less bright, a little bit less exciting. But, as I said, sweetness is the enemy of the non-alcoholic cocktail. We want it to be there, but it overwhelms because you don't have that alcohol to cut it through. So we've got to find other ingredients that help dial back the sweetness. And this is a really perfect one. This is cardamom. Now, I absolutely adore cardamom. I put it in porridge, I put it in my coffee, I put it in tea. I absolutely love it. I'm using 2 whole cardamom pods for this drink. If you don't like cardamom so much, don't use it. You don't have to. You can just use the elderflower, just use the rhubarb. It'll be very nice. But if you do like it, but you don't like it as much as me, maybe dial it down to 1. If you love it more than me, put in 3. It's up to you. So we're just going to take a little pestle and mortar. If you don't have a pestle and mortar, you can use a wine bottle or something like that. You're just going to break open the pods. So you're going to get rid of the green bit. We don't want the green bit. That's just going to float and be horrible. We just want the seeds on the inside. And we're just going to very quickly grind those up. We want them to be a fine powder. Now, if you don't like the idea of having some bits in your drink, I personally don't care. But if you don't like that, then you're going to grind this really fine. You're going to pop it into the drink. You're going to leave it for about 5 minutes and then strain it through a sieve, just to get rid of those bits. But if you don't mind them, I don't mind them. They're not going to do any harm. They're not catching your throat or anything. So you see here, we've now got that fine powder, and that smells incredible. And folks, anybody who's, right now we're in an anxious time in the world, this is a great mood stabilizer. It's a really nice thing. It helps you chill out. Cardamom is really good for you in all sorts of ways. It's a rhizome like ginger. So we're going to mix that in, just swill it in. You see that? We now got like this little speckliness into our rhubarb. Now it smells of rhubarb and cardamom, which is a very good thing of something to smell like. I'm going to take my beautiful Damascus steel knife again, and I'm going to take a big wedge of lime here. Big wedge. So none of this thin slice. We want a nice big chunky bit of lime. And again, this is counteracting the sweetness. So we've got that dry floralness from the cardamom, and then what we're going to do is not juice it, just squeeze and drop it in. So we're not really mushing it up. We still want it to have a bit of body to it, but we're just adding that little bit of acidity that's going to really help in this drink. Then we're going to again take some ice. Ice is your friend, because as we've discussed many times on this show, ice reduces sweetness, because as you get colder, the sugar reduces. And we're going to stick with a nice cool drink. There's not very many non-alcoholic drinks that I would drink warm or room temperature. Then we're going to take about 100 to 150 mils of soda water. It needs to be soda water, not sparkling water. Although actually sparkling water would work with this. I had this with still water earlier today, just as I was doing my job. It was perfectly lovely. So I like the fizziness though if we're going for a non-alcoholic drink, because it feels a bit fancier. I'm going to take my nice fancy spoon again and swizzle that round, just to mix in the rhubarb. Look at that. That's proper fancy. And I'll lick it because I'm not proper fancy. And then we see here, and as I said, you will see some things floating around in it, and that's totally fine. But if you don't like that, you can strain it out. And this, when you have a taste, so first thing you get, sweet, delicious, fresh rhubarb. Then that lime, that hint of acidity comes through, and then you get that cardamom, that very clean, almost medicinal. And actually, I love. It's one of my favourite flavours that's coming through. So that medicinal edge to it, that herbal element that you've got from the cardamom, stops you from just chugging it. It's not a Coke. Whereas if you don't have that, this would just be a very nice, sweet, quick, cooler drink. Whereas that medicinal element makes you stop and pause and go, oh, hold on, this is a bit grown up, this. I'm going to drink it a little bit slower. Hi to Megan. She's going to be hosting my work pub quiz after this, which for once I'm going to be sober for, so that'll be good. So that's our wonderful rhubarb and cardamom Fizz, highly, highly recommend that. I'll put the recipe, I'll put the method for making this beautiful rhubarb syrup up on my own channel, so that's at Tom Gilliford. So we'll have a look at that. So, we've had our Shirley Temple variations. I'm still sipping away on my lovely Everleaf version. And we've made our Rhubarb Fizz. It's 17 minutes past. I'm actually doing pretty well. So I'm going to say hello to some people. Hi there to Gemma. I can't read. I need glasses, folks. I also need to put this closer to me. Andrew was making fun of me the other day. So, someone is excited for our non-alcoholic cocktail with egg. Folks, I'm going to trailer this, right? Because it sounds horrible. I've been telling people about this all day. What we're going to take is cold tea and a slightly beaten egg. And we're going to make a delicious cocktail. That's pretty much all the ingredients. There's one sneaky other ingredient that I'm going to add. It's wild. And I thought, this is going to be disgusting. It's from the 1890s. Charles H. Baker Jr. is a crazy man. Turns out, genius. Genius. Egg and tea, I'm telling you. Right. So, we have done Shirley Temple. We have done our Rhubarb Fizz. So now it is time for our Blood in the Water. So this is a drink I have been making and perfecting and tweaking for many years. I first had it when I was on a school trip. I went out to Oxford on a school trip to kind of see the university and things, and we were given a drinks reception, but we were underage, so we weren't given any exciting alcoholic drinks. We were just given ginger beer mixed. I'm useless today. I forgot my ginger as well. Ginger beer mixed with cranberry juice, which all the stuff we're talking about today. This is where that all started for me. Ooh, cranberry juice, quite dry, not a really sweet drink. Ginger beer, that peppery spiciness, meaning you don't just chug it, you drink it in a more interesting way. And you wouldn't necessarily think that cranberry and ginger goes together, but actually kind of Christmas dinner, it does. Right, let me grab my ginger. I'm useless, folks. And I've talked about this before on this show. I very, very rarely use ginger beer. And the reason I very rarely use ginger beer is I find it too sweet and I don't find it anywhere near gingery enough. So what I've done instead is I use ginger cordial. I use this brand, it's good, but you can use whatever brand you want. Because it allows me to dial up and down how much gingeriness I want in my drink, and then I use soda water to add the fizziness. So for this drink, we are going to start with 25 mils of this lovely ginger cordial. What did I have in there? Oh, that'll be fine. We can have a spot of rhubarb in this. So 25 mils of the ginger cordial in there. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Ooh. Then we're gonna have 100 mils. I'm gonna eyeball this, folks. 100 mils of the cranberry juice. And this drink on its own, without the fizziness, just this, is really good. So, oh no, 100, 150, however you like, it's cranberry juice, it's not going to kill you. That's a nice thing when you're not using alcohol, it doesn't really matter if you overfill it. Just give that a little stir to make sure that that all of that gets in together. I've got my long fancy spoon now, so I can do that. I'm just going to use it again and again. There we go. Oh, that's nice. Ginger, cranberry, yes, we're in a good place. Then, into that, again, taking my beautiful knife, we're going to take the juice of half a lime. This time we are juicing it. So we're squeezing it in to the drink. And again, this is about adding some citrus, adding some dryness, making sure it isn't super, super duper sweet. First cocktail I had on a school trip was vodka on the rocks from my wonderful friend Tom there. I'm sure it was, but I was a good child. Although Tom did go to Oxford with me, so clearly he was having a better time when he was visiting there than I was. There we go. He can't recommend it. I can recommend vodka on the rocks. I love vodka on the rocks. You were drinking bad vodka, is the answer there, Tom. Right, so we've got our half lime in there. Then we are going to add our ice. So next stage is the ice. A few ice cubes. It's nice to have quite a lot of ice in this drink. I don't think I have enough ice to have quite a lot of ice in it. So, plop, we'll go there. Grand. And give that a bit of a stir. Now, we want to dilute this a little bit. So we're giving it a stir to help dilute that down. And then have a little taste. You might want to add a bit more ginger. You might want to add a bit more lime. I think I want to add a bit more ginger to that. I think I went a little bit overboard on the cranberry, so just a dash of ginger, because I want that burning sensation that you get from a really strong ginger. I actually really want to taste that. So give that a go. And as I keep telling you folks, taste your cocktails. It's like any other form of cooking. Don't just eyeball it and then stick it again. No, you still need a bit more. Ooh. There we go. So taste your cocktails. Now, if you're tasting for someone else, don't do what I've just done. Don't dip a spoon in, take a sip, and then go back again. Either take a spoonful out and put the spoon away, or take a straw, put your straw in, put your thumb over the top, use it like a pipette, and you're grand. But don't double dip if it's not your own drink. Okay, that is good now. So I've got my nice gingeriness. So we've adjusted, we've got the cranberry, we've got the ginger, we've got the lime juice. That in itself, cracking drink. If you are dealing with someone who absolutely can't drink, if they are Muslim, or they don't want to drink, or they're pregnant, and they can't have any alcohol at all, just add the soda water, like I am doing now. So about 100 mils of that. And again, just give it a stir and let it combine. We're not looking for super fizzy, we're looking for just a bit of fizziness. That's perfect. Okay, so then stop. You're done. Lovely drink. But if the person is saying, look, I just want to kind of lower alcohol, I want to chill out a little bit, I want to relax, I don't want to have too much, then use Angostura Bitters. Now, Angostura Bitters, all bitters in fact, generally, have a bit of alcohol in. Angostura actually rocks in at 44.7%. The thing is, I've had this bottle of Angostura Bitters for nearly 2 years. You don't get through it. A dash of Angostura Bitters is never going to take you anywhere near the limit. But if somebody is religious or something like that, you've got to make sure that you don't call this a non-alcoholic drink, because it does have alcohol in it. But super low alcohol, barely alcoholic. I drink it for breakfast. In fact, I did have it at breakfast this morning when I was taking some photos. So then what we're going to do, I'm going to make sure you can see that. So we're going to take about 5 dashes of the Angostura. And there's 2 ways you can do this. If you want to eyeball it and just go for it, just knock it in like this, like 1, 2, and we're just putting it in really gently. What we don't want to do is it to fire into the drink and mix immediately. If you're feeling a little bit like you're not quite sure you're going to get that, get your spoon. I've got my nice swizzly spoon. And we're going to pour onto that spoon. So this is going to help us float the Angostura Bitters on top of our drink. So we're just going to put it on there, and it's just going to add a gentle way of adding the bitters. I'm going to do about 5 dashes. You can go a bit more if you want. There we go. And what we're trying to do here, what we're trying to achieve, is this look. So you see, we've got the lovely bitters floating on the top. And then, when the person gets the drink, and they start to disturb it and move it round, we get that beautiful marbling. And as soon as we do it too much, those bitters are now in there. The blood's in the water. Add a slice of lime to this if you want to garnish it. And so what those bitters are doing, again, as we've been saying the whole way through this, they're counteracting the sweetness. So bitters is quite an adult flavour. If you actually don't like the bitters, just leave them out. As I say, it's a great drink on its own. But this now is a bit darker, a bit more sophisticated. And those spicy, warming, bitter herbal notes really complement. So this has kind of got reminiscences of a dark and stormy. It's refreshing. It's not overly sweet. And those bitters, again, like our cardamom, you take a sip, and then you kind of relax back. Because, bitters. I'm not going to go immediately in for that other sweet, sweet, sweet. It doesn't activate that bit of your brain that says, oh my God, this is sugar, give me more and more sugar. Which is fantastic. Right, I'm going to pause for a second before we move on, because I've been making great time. What this makes me realise is that when I'm doing 4 drinks in an hour, it makes me really slow, so God knows what you folks have been watching. Have we got any questions about non-alcoholic drinks, non-alcoholic replacements? Any drinks that people really love and they wish they could have a non-alcoholic version for? Shout them out. Or if you just want to tell me what you're drinking, make me jealous here. It is International Cocktail Day. One of the reasons we're making Temperance Delights, because everyone can enjoy a cocktail even if they don't drink. Let me know what it is you're drinking at the moment, because the next drink that we're going to make is the tea shake, which is, folks, I gotta tell you, it's one of the wildest drinks I've ever made. It's crazy. It has a beaten egg in it, cold tea, bit of sugar, ice. You can put some fizzy water in it if you want. I don't know what to tell you about it, but it's quite incredible. Perhaps I'll give you a rundown on what we've done so far and a little bit of a review, and then we'll move into our fourth drink. So, we started our exploration into temperance delights. We're not using the word mocktail, it's a dirty word. We don't make anything fake here. This is all about a joyous, beautiful drink that everyone can enjoy. So we started with our kind of Shirley Temple twist. So we, instead of using kind of sweet things like lemonade, we learned, no, we want to go kind of a drier, more sophisticated route that is more reminiscent of an adult drink. We made two versions of that. We made this version here, which was grenadine peach liqueur, very small amount of peach liqueur. It's not non-alcoholic, it's very low alcohol, a bit of lemon and our tonic water. We made this beautiful version, which I'm still sipping on, with our gifted Everleaf Aperitivo, which is a beautiful spirit replacement is kind of the way, but it's just an alternative. It's just a beautiful drink in itself. This with ice on its own is lovely, and it's got that bitter herbal notes, and we mix that again with the tonic water and the grenadine, and just gives us a sweet sour, gives us a dry sweet relationship. And so we've carried that on into our next drink, which, if I can remember, which I should be able to this week because these are all non and low alcohol, out to those people joining, was our Rhubarb Fizz. So again, we carried through our principles from our first drink, which was by not being overly sweet. We started with something very sweet, which was a fresh rhubarb cordial. The fresh rhubarb cordial, you'll be able to get instructions on how to make that on my own Instagram channel at Tom Gilliford, and I'll show you how to make that. It's fresh, or you can buy it. And we mixed that, 50 mils with that, with some lime juice, and we mixed with 2 powdered cardamom pods. And the cardamom in this drink, apart from giving it a really beautiful smell, also gives it that dry, herbal, medicinal quality, which stops it being overly sweet, so we can sip and sip. And we also used fizzy water in that. Then we've just finished making our third drink, Blood in the Water, reminding me of my time visiting universities. Bit more of a complex drink here. So this one starts with around 25 to 50 mils of ginger cordial, if that's what you want to use. Then around 100 to 150 mils of cranberry juice, dry, slightly sweet, refreshing. Then we're adding the juice of half a lime. Then we're adding our ice and stirring it, just giving it a chill down. Then we taste it so we can adjust the relationship between the ginger and the cranberry. Then we added our soda water to add that fizz, and then we gently floated some Angostura Bitters on the top. So, reviewed. Cheers. Ah, beautiful. Okay, final drink of the evening. This one is the one you've all been waiting for. This is my non-alcoholic drink with egg. So, I'm going to return to the illustrious Charles H. Baker Jr. What's Tom saying? Drinking tonic and orange bitters. I don't think I'm up for a mad eggnog. Look, not many of us can take the heroic stance of eating eggnog, but I can. So, Tom has asked, thoughts on seedlip, etc. Okay, my thoughts on the one seedlip I've tried, which was Seedlip Garden, was I was not a fan. I bought a bottle of it. I have tried to like Seedlip, and I have really struggled. Now, I have only tried one flavour of it, so I might try some other flavours, and I might be different. People tell me that the spicier one is really, really good, so I'm excited to try that. I've only tried the garden one. It wasn't for me. Other people love it, but it wasn't for me. I am a bigger fan of Everleaf. So this is Everleaf, gifted to me today. This is much more of a kind of Italian-style aperitivo. So it's more reminiscent of something, I think, like an Aperol or a Campari. Not in its flavour profile, but in that bitterness that it has, which I think is really, really great for non-alcoholic replacements. You're not trying to replace the floral notes, because there's plenty of things that can do that are sweet. What I lack when I have a non-alcoholic drink is those drier, more herbal notes, those things that we get from spirits, and this I think does it really, really well. So that would be one, but I'm always trying them. But I also think we can become a little bit hung up on replacements. So you should make a delicious drink. Don't worry too much about replacing rum or something like that. Just make the drink itself delicious. So something that was never around was in the time of Charles H. Baker Jr. So we started by telling you about his views on temperance drinks. And it was to him I went to try and find out what he was drinking. Now, what's wonderful about him is in his 12 non-alcoholic drinks, 2 of them are just beer, just actual beer. And he's like, well, it doesn't start out as alcohol, does it? I just put yeast and sugar in a bottle and then drink it. It's not alcohol. That man was wonderful. But as I get to the back of his book, I get to something called the Nassau Tea Shake. On a trip to Nassau, and I don't know where Nassau is, it's probably not what it's called today, but that's what he's called it. I served to those who preferred not to gaze upon a cup when it was full of wine. I said, okay, they don't even look at alcohol, these people. Therefore, this drink must be good. This is an invigorating drink. Invigorating is not always a word I want to hear when I'm about to drink something. This is an invigorating drink, and we wonder why it has not been more generally known or appreciated in the States. I can answer that. It's cold tea and egg. Simply take half a cup of strong black tea, sugar to taste, and a whole, very fresh egg. Pop in a shaker with lots of fairly large cracked ice. Shake, then strain into a sour glass or a small tumbler, with or without ice, and with or without topping with club soda. Oh, there is Andrew. Andrew's going to say hello. We'll let him in. That's what we're going to go for. We're going to go for the egg shake. I'm going to let Andrew come in because I can imagine what Andrew's face is going to be like when I tell him what we're about to make. We'll also see what his favourite non-alcoholic tipple is. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, thought I'd drop in. Sorry I'm late. Is this your odd egg drink?
No, this is our lovely blood in the water. So this is a mixture of ginger, lime, Angostura Bitters, and cranberry.
That sounds delicious.
That does sound delicious. We're about to start the egg drink, but before we do, how about you tell us what your favourite non-alcoholic drinks are?
Favourite non-alcoholic drinks? Rhubarb Cordial is a new one, especially if you make it yourself. A big fan of rhubarb. Also just anything elderflower, especially in springtime. Those kind of fruity things are really up my street.
I haven't gone any elderflower today. You're right. I often do put elderflower. Someone was asking about seedlip earlier. The one thing I do think goes well with seedlip garden is elderflower. That works quite well. I've got my Elderflower Cordial here. I was telling you about this drink earlier when we were chatting. So this is my elderflower. This is not my elderflower. This is my
I was going to say, it looks
rhubarb.
a bit rhubarby for elderflower.
I haven't even had a drink. This is my Rhubarb Fizz with cardamom. What do you think about cardamom in?
Well, I imagine that would be quite nice. Well, cardamom can be a little bit like Marmite, can't it? So I'm a fan, but I know some other people would steer clear of it. But I imagine it gives you some nice earthy notes, maybe.
Earthy notes. I think it's bright. I think it's light and bright. That's exciting.
You've got a better palate than I do.
We've got completely competing palates here. Who knows what anything we're drinking is, really? Okay, so Andrew, are you ready for my completely insane drink?
I am. Let's go for it. I'm ready to see it.
All right, before we go down the mad route, I thought that cold tea and egg just on its own was a step too far for me. There are limits to what I will drink, and that was the limit. So I thought I need to do something to make this a bit more modern, to make this a little bit more to my palate, and something that my brain will be able to recognize, but also to make it a little bit more of a cocktail. Because I felt that black tea and just egg didn't feel very exciting.
To be clear, this is cracking in an egg, not kind of a floating hard-boiled egg. This is just raw egg.
No, this is full in cracking in an egg.
Right.
Full in cracking in an egg, raw egg. So we've got to make sure you're using safe eggs, folks. But I thought I will start something different to start it. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, folks. Oh, let's tip you down a bit. Oh, there we go. So you can see I have this liquid in it as floating star anise and cinnamon and cardamom and fresh ginger.
It's almost like a chai.
This is a chai spice. So I made this. Now this is something we call a simple syrup. You can't see my head.
Yeah, we need to. We're getting some lovely teeth.
So a simple syrup, when we talk about this in cocktail making, it's an easy thing to do. So you take 100 milliliters of water and 100 grams of caster sugar. Now you can go higher, but it's always a 1-to-1 ratio. I usually do somewhere between 100 and 200 at the same time because it does go off. You're going to put them in a pan and just heat them gently until it comes to the boil and it dissolves all of that sugar. Then you put it into a jar or a bottle, and you can use that in place of adding sugar to a drink. Now, why would we do that? I have never felt so unsophisticated and unfancy in my entire life. What?
This is why you need to be friends with Tom, because then you can have all these sophisticated and fancy things whilst being unsophisticated and unfancy yourself.
I think you're the sophisticated and fancy one. I mean, look, I got given this beautiful golden spoon, Andrew. Look at that.
I mean, that is sophisticated. It's the definition. I don't have any. The fanciest spoon I have is a dessert spoon. So
I also have a teaspoon I nicked off the Great British Bake Off set.
Oh, we all have spoons nicked from the set, but we don't talk about that.
You have hundreds of pounds worth of baking equipment. I have a teaspoon.
I still use the timer. Anyway, we should get back to your. Tell us about this egg.
We should get back. Simple syrup is just that mixing of caster sugar and water, and it's really useful when you're making drinks because sugar does not like to dissolve into alcohol. Alcohol actually rejects the sugar a little bit, so you often end up with grains of sugar end up at the bottom of a drink, which isn't what you want. But if you dissolve it in water first and then use it, you avoid that. So you still get the sweetness, but you don't get those grains of sugar. Now, I don't usually bother with it at home because I just don't care if there's a few grains of sugar. That's fine. Better than a silver spoon. It absolutely is. I'll tell you a little bit about why gold is really useful. If we get to the end, I'll tell you why. But today I made a not so simple syrup. So same basis, 100 milliliters of water, but I used golden caster sugar just to give a little bit of that kind of toasty golden caramel note. Then I popped in a single star anise, 2 cardamom pods, some ginger, and 1 bit of clove.
And with the cardamom pods, would you crush those beforehand or just break them open or just leave them whole?
Just break them open. So they just crack them. So we don't want the seeds to come out, but just so that the liquid can get in and out.
Just so they can infuse.
Exactly. Okay. And then I put that in and I let it go in while the sugar was dissolving. Then I popped it in a jar and I left all the spices whole in the jar. So we want that. If you want the recipe for this syrup and indeed the instructions for how to make the rhubarb syrup, if you go to foodtryb.com, go to Isolation Inspiration, you'll be able to find the article about all these drinks in there, and they'll give you the instructions on how to make the syrups. So what we now have is our chai and masala syrup. I also had this with coffee earlier today. Oh, so good. I could drink this. It's dangerous stuff. It's good. So with our egg and tea, what have we got? I've never had it.
What does cardamom taste like? Hard to get cardamom in the US sometimes. What does it taste like?
That's a good question. Okay. I'll answer, Andrew, and then you tell me if you agree. Because I don't know if we agree. I would say it's a little bit minty, a little bit peppery, and a little bit spicy, but not very spicy. More like, peppery. So somewhere between pepper and mint, but also perfume. Yeah,
it's less sweet and more fragrant than something like cinnamon. I'd say posh cinnamon.
Cardamom is posh cinnamon.
Also, I'd say it's much easier for cardamom to overwhelm something. It's easier to go overboard than something like cinnamon, where a little bit more, it's kind of a gentle ramp up, whereas cardamom, less is more, I think.
I would agree, but I would say more is more. I will put a whole ground cardamom pod in a bowl of porridge for my breakfast.
Okay. Don't listen to Tom on that one. Just have some normal fruit on your porridge instead of crushing old spices.
You went there, I was saying before, it's actually a really great mood stabilizer. So if you're thinking about kind of herbal medicine and things like that, cardamon's actually a really good thing to kind of, it helps with blood pressure and other bits and pieces, but it's calming. It's a very calming smell. It's a very calming thing to eat. It's actually really, really good for you. And in Ayurvedic medicine, it's something they really, really recommend. So these are stressful times. Maybe just have a load of things. Put it in gin. It's great. Then you'll feel really calm. Right. So we now have our syrup. So I'm feeling a little bit less terrified of this drink. But I do need to pour all my water away so that I can get a thing to crack an egg into, which is where it gets wild. So I'm going to start with about 150 mils of cold black tea. PG tips, brewed earlier today.
Brewed with hot water.
Brewed with hot water, but then cooled down.
Because you need that heat to extract the flavour from the tea, right?
You do, yeah. I mean, you can make tea with cold water. You just will get a different flavour profile. And what we want is quite a lot of those dry tannic notes, those drying things in your mouth that tea has. And that's one of the things that makes this kind of an adult drink is tea is drying. It's not too sweet. I love that what's going on in the chat is like
how you can find. Can you eat it straight? No, don't eat cardamom straight. You can probably. I think
it's not going to do you any harm.
It's just,
you'll taste it for about 3 hours.
You'll know if you hit a pod. If you've ever bitten into a cardamom pod, you'll know about it.
So then I'm going to take 50 mils. Now, can I pour this out of a jam jar into this fancy jigger? We're going to find out. Yeah.
So whilst you do that, Tom, there's a question here. Can you eat it straight or should you take it out? So I'd say if you're using the whole pod, you take it out. If you're taking out the black seeds on the inside and grinding them, and mixing them into a cake or something, or infusing them in a drink that way, then it's absolutely fine. But the whole pods, you want to take them out. A bit like the star anise, I imagine, Tom?
Yeah, if you're doing... But what I'd say is, in the drink we made earlier, I kind of said, look, if you don't like bits, take them out.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do you any harm. I leave them in. They're a powder. You'll feel them. They're a bit grainy in your mouth, but they're not going to do you any harm at all. They're not going to be... They don't cause digestive upset or anything like that. The green bit on the outside, that's quite woody. So all I'm going to say is you'll feel it as it comes out.
Oh, I wasn't... Top tips.
We're putting to our 100 mils, 150 mils of tea, we're putting 50 mils of that beautiful chai masala syrup. Now, if you had a spare bottle, I'd put it in a spare bottle because pouring it out of a jam jar is not easy. But I've only managed to spill quite a lot of it. So now we have tea, beautiful tea, and chai. And if we taste this, it's a delicious iced tea. Sweet and lovely. Now, if you're not going to willing to come with me on a journey, stop here. Put some ice in, maybe a wedge of lemon, and walk away. This is as far as you come. Delicious chai masala iced tea.
We're going to the next level, Tom. We're going to the next level.
If you're ready to join me and Mr. Charles H. Baker Jr. in his 1890s book, you then get yourself an egg.
Oh, boy.
Just a full-on egg. Get yourself something to crack your egg into. See, now I know why this has got this little thing. It's obviously for cracking your eggs. There you go. Andrew's face is a picture.
Yeah, I'm rather you than me, Tom. And whilst you're whisking that away, I'm assuming someone's asked, can you store those syrups? They'd be good Christmas gifts, obviously before you added the egg.
Yeah, definitely before you add the egg. We're not adding the egg to the syrup, by the way. We're adding it to the drink. So I would say on the rhubarb, you probably only got about a week on that. And that's partly because I'm making it in a fresh way. And now, if you want to push it further, that's up to you. But I'd only recommend a week. Because it is not been cooked in any way. So it will start to break down and it can rot. Syrups, if you sterilize the jar properly and you pour it in boiling, it'll be above boiling point, pour it into a properly sterilized jar and the top of the jar pops down so it pressurizes, then you've got several months on those. You can keep them for a long time.
Until they're popped open.
Until they pop open, yeah. If you've opened it, I would recommend using it in around 2 weeks, but it's sugar and water and air. So pop it in the fridge because it will get molds and things, and keep an eye on it. And if you see anything looking like a mold, it's gone, you're done, throw it away. Is booze coming next with egg? So folks, those of you who weren't here at the beginning, this is our non-alcoholic cocktail session today. It's hashtag International Cocktail Day, and I thought I would make some Temperance delights. So non-alcoholic, partly because I'm still recovering from drinking 4 full martinis last week and nearly dying. So just to be proof, look.
Yeah, we don't need a close-up of the egg, Tom. We don't need a close-up of the egg, thank you.
Full on egg. So now I'm going to put my egg into my tea and sugar.
Good Lord.
Now you can all have a good look at this, what I'm about to make into...
This is why you need to continue to be locked down, Tom. No one needs...
I'm never allowed back out. All right. So we have our egg.
I'm going to take away your mixology license.
Our egg. Give that a swirl into your tea.
This is what you described as clean games?
Clean gains, yeah.
Clean
This
gains.
is a nutritious and delicious drink. So now you can see it's not great.
This is eggy tea syrup with some spices.
Yep. So then we're going to take what we call cracked ice. Cracked ice is just kind of more fragmented ice, and we're going to put loads in here. So handfuls and handfuls of kind of shards of ice. We want to chill this down really far. So I'm basically going to fill it up as much as I can, using all of this last bit of a bag of ice, all in there.
So a question here, what's the theory behind the egg, Tom? Or are you going to come on to that?
Well, you'll see what's going to happen. Now, this worked really well yesterday, so I'm hoping it'll work again. Oh, that's not the lid for that. So the theory behind the egg is it's going to add creaminess and texture. So we're going to give it a really hard shake now. For at least 30 seconds. Maybe even closer to a minute. So what we're doing here is that shards of ice is chilling everything down. What's also happening is we're actually emulsifying the egg into the liquid and the sugar. And we're foaming it, and we're forming long strands of proteins. And those long strands of proteins are going to turn what was a kind of rank-looking mix into something really quite nice-looking. Maybe 15 seconds more, because what I really want to do is feel the coldness on the outside of this jar. And once it's almost too cold to hold, that's when I know it's ready.
Question, why not in a cocktail shaker? Everybody's got a jam jar, right?
Everyone's got a jam jar. Cocktail shakers, here's my truth. I do have a cocktail shaker. I sometimes use it. They're actually more difficult.
Because they can pop
that
apart.
Thing can pop off. This doesn't go all over. My wife doesn't get angry.
You don't want egg tea over the walls.
You do not want egg tea over the walls. I can guarantee you that. So now, whoo, it was like a shake weight. Whoever said that. I've got a beautiful cut crystal glass. I've got a sieve.
At least you've got something nice to disguise the horrors inside.
And I'm going to pour this through.
I'm surprised it doesn't have a head on it.
It will. My glass is actually a little bit too small. Now, this did have much more of a head yesterday when I made it. I might not have given it enough space or shaken it, but you'll see a little bit of this. So now...
So for those who are just joining, this is basically egg with tea syrup.
So you see, we do have that kind of nice
It
foam.
looks dangerously like a Baileys.
Well, the thing is, it's that sort of thing, and I'm going to sip it. It's good. Ah.
God. I'm going to have to dash off here, Tom, because I'm meant to be going for a run. But thank you for showing me the egg horrors, and I look forward to trying it in person soon.
I'm going to genuinely say so, folks. If you like, bye, Andrew. If you like, particularly if you've ever been to Dishoom, somewhere like that, we love Dishoom here in London, and you've had their chai tea that comes with it, which is rich and sweet and beautiful. It's lovely. Can you taste the raw egg? No, you absolutely can. If you asked me blind what was in this, I'd tell you milk. Because what we've got is a rich creaminess. What we don't have is any dairy. So it's milk-free. It's got egg in it. It's milk-free. It's spicy. It's got that beautiful dryness from tea, which we absolutely love. It's got the spiciness, but it's not thick. It's not cloying. It's not creamy. So I genuinely, this sounds horrendous. I get it. And if you want to stop at the nice masala iced tea stage, do. But if you're willing to come to it with me on this journey, this exciting journey where you put a whole raw beaten egg into a glass of cold tea, there you go. And I mean, it's like Rocky meets the North. It's a cold brew and a raw egg. High in protein, delicious. And what I think is really nice about it, as a way of kind of rounding off these different non-alcoholic drinks, is that this drink particularly has all the elements we're talking about. It's not overly sweet. What is a good egg to use with it? So if you are based in the UK, obviously you're only ever going to use an egg that you know is safe. It's got the lion mark on it. You need to make sure the eggs are fresh, super, super fresh. If you're in the US, whatever safety mark there is in the US to make sure that those eggs are safe to use raw. Here in the UK, we're very confident that we can use our eggs raw. In other parts of the country, in other parts of the world, that's less of a surety. But you want super fresh eggs. I use Burford Browns with that beautiful yellow yolk, and that's why mine has come out in this really quite pleasing light brew colour that looks like a brew. If you use a slightly less yellow yolk, it'll just be a paler colour, so a little bit like you put more milk in your egg. Good hangover cure. Egg room temperature or cold? Room temperature. I always keep my eggs room temperature. It makes them easier to use when you're baking. Is it a good hangover cure? I don't know. I've not tried it, but I'm going to say yes. Why not? It's sweet. It's got protein in it. It wouldn't mess up your stomach or anything like that. I'm a Burford. Wonderful. Is that your name, or have the chickens worked out how to use Instagram? So it is a beautiful one to round these out with because it does have all those elements. Not overly sweet. It's got that dryness. It's got that complexity there, which we love. So I'll do a quick roundup and then I'm going to say goodbye to you all. So we did our Shirley Temples. We mixed Everleaf. We mixed grenadine. We mixed tonic water. We learned dryness is important in these non-alcoholic drinks. What do we have that mark in the US? I don't know if you do, but you're looking for a quality mark that means they've been checked for salmonella. Hi from Argentina. Hello there in Argentina. We then made a Rhubarb Fizz, which was our fizzy water. We used our rhubarb syrup with cardamom, where we learned that cardamom medicinal flavor is really good for stopping you from going back and back and back and drinking it like just a fizzy drink. We then made our blood in the water, our cranberry juice, mixing our ginger, our spiciness with the dry cranberry juice, and balancing it with the acidity and the deep bitterness of the Angostura Bitters. And then I brought it all together in the madness that is the tea shake, the beautiful, beautiful tea shake, where we used cold tea, a masala chai syrup, and a whole beaten egg, shaken furiously and then strained through a sieve. If you shake it longer than I did, I clearly didn't go far enough this time. Use more egg. You do get this beautiful, beautiful foam on the top. And if you go to the Food Tryb website, you'll be able to see my pictures of it there, along with all the recipes for tonight's drinks, including the recipes for the syrups. Hi from California, very informative. That is what I like to do. It's all fun. So I'm going to sign off now, folks, and I'm going to say, remember, please stay at home, stay safe, and protect the NHS.